problems that we see around us. How do we make things better? How can our combined talents and resources help alleviate poverty? How can we develop new materials for a sustainable future? How can we create teachers for the next generation? How can we design an educational curriculum with social impact? What does quality education mean?
Pwede nyo
And
mag-ano
what
pero
can we do to achieve it? How do we transition from being a modest university to a university known in the
tayo
ASEAN
pa rin.
region? The solutions to these questions can be provided when brilliant ideas collide in an enabling environment where innovation and connection are brought in a crucible which allows the formation of authentic and long-term solutions to the identified problems. In Pangasinan State University, brilliant minds of its administration, teaching, non-teaching staff, and students coalesce and are made to become part of its culture, where
Ori, tanong mo si Sol, nag-i-start na ata sila. Kung paano niya lang i-start. Tinanggap na nila tayo? Alam na nila?
Ma'am, nandito ka na eh.
So,
Ito
accepted?
na, oh. Oo, ito na.
Tapos yun nga, yung later on, ilalagay mo lang yung mukha ko na Pero ngayon kasi mag-join ako sa opening nila.
Ano? Allah.
Saan yun? Link, ma'am.
Kaya,
Wala ba sa group? Ay, wala ba sa...
ako ata ng babae din eh. 3 pesos.
Mamanja eh.
Pwede daw
sa lalaki.
Babae lang daw.
Babae lang yan.
Sabihin na naman. Gusto natin ito sa sarong.
General meeting. Puro po, may
Hindi ko marinig, oh. Tagal naman.
From the Pangasinan State University here in the Philippines, good morning everyone. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Welcome to the international webinar on the role of women leaders in the new normal. Before we proceed to the official start of our webinar, please allow me to give a few reminders about the webinar for us to have a fruitful experience. This webinar can be accessed through the following platforms: the Pangasinan State University website at www.psu.edu.ph, the university YouTube channel, Pangasinan State University, and at our university Facebook page, PSU Roars. If the participants have any questions, you may type them in the comment section found at the right side of your screen. May we request you to please indicate your name, the name of the organization you represent, the name of the speaker to whom the question is directed to. An open forum will be conducted after each lecture of the speaker is done. Our PSU webinar team will monitor your comments and questions from the various platforms mentioned earlier. All feedback will be consolidated and hopefully we can give responses to all the questions you have raised. However, during the open forum, we are sorry that we shall be able to accommodate 3 questions only to be answered by the speaker due to time constraints. Nonetheless, the rest of the questions will be answered through the comments section. May we request everyone to fill out an evaluation form at the end of each lecture, and also fill out the questionnaire at the end of the webinar to be able to avail of the e-certificate. For those who missed this live broadcast, you can still watch the recorded video, fill out the questionnaire at the end of the webinar, and submit until 6 p.m. today to get an e-certificate. After this webinar, may we request also for everyone to like and follow our official social media accounts. You can start sharing and subscribing to our YouTube channel. Please click on the subscribe button below. At this juncture, I would like to thank everyone for listening. Let us officially start the webinar.
May I request everyone to feel the presence of the Lord as we pray the prayer during the time of pandemic. All will stop from its of the people making decisions that affect the lives and futures of people, communities, countries, and the world. Give them the ability to handle the pandemic with care, and that may truth and empathy be the touchstones of their policies for our protection. God, as more people get sick, our frontliners are more exhausted and at risk of contracting the virus. Renew their energy and sustain their good health for the people they serve and for their families back home. Direct our scientists to develop vaccines and medicines, not only to prevent, but ultimately to eliminate the disease. Loving God, grant peace of spirit to those who experience fear or anxiety. Wrap your loving arms around them and ease their weary thoughts. As families adjust to the new normal, we ask that you guide them in this different setting. Help the educators and parents find creative ways of teaching the children so that they will continue learning. Father, during this time, remain to be our beacon of hope, comfort, and love to all. Be with us always, Lord. Amen.
At this juncture, I would like to thank everyone for listening. Let us hear some words of welcome from the Visionary President of Pangasinan State.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Wala nang tao dito.
Sa
At this point, let us hear some words of welcome from the visionary president of the Pangasinan State University, Dr. Dexter R. Buten.
A blessed morning to all the empowered women present today. The Pangasinan State University is elated to organize this webinar to celebrate women leaders who rise to the occasion during this turbulent times brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic. Education plays a key role in the empowerment of girls and women and the attainment of gender equality in households, communities, and wider society. In the Philippines, efforts to make governance gender responsive are promoted through legislation such as the Magna Carta of Women, which mandates non-discriminatory and pro-gender equality and equity measures to enable women's participation in the formulation, implementation, and evaluation of policies, plans, and programs for national, regional, and local development. The Republic Act number 9710, or the Magna Carta for Women, underscores gender development program as the development perspective, the process that is participatory and empowering, equitable, sustainable, free from violence, respectful of human rights, supportive to self-discrimination, and actualization of human potentials. It seeks to achieve gender equality as a fundamental value that should be reflected in development choices and contends that women are active agents of development, not just passive recipients of development. In Pangasinan State University, we have the PSU Orduha Gender Development Resource Center, in which the name Orduha was taken from the legendary warrior, Princess of Pangasinan, Princess Orduha, an Astot leader who marshaled a band of women warriors to defend a prosperous and civilized domain against invaders. True to its name, the Resource Center plays a pivotal role in developing innovative and globally competitive women and men, which productively contributes in the advancement of gender and development initiative through responsive instruction, research, and extension programs. For today, we are privileged to be supported by women leaders of international renown as guest speakers who generously took time out from their busy schedules to be with us today. We are grateful to the Honorable Education and Culture Attaché of the Indonesia Embassy, Dr. Lily Norlaili, to our longtime education partner for the CTVET and Teacher Student and Faculty Exchange Program, the Southeast Asian Ministers of Education Center Director, our very own Dr. Ethel Agnes P. Valenzuela, and of course, my former colleague, the former City Councilor of the Gupan, the Honorable Maybelline Fernandez. During our time, she was elected as the youngest national president of the Philippines Councilors League, and our reliable Pangasinan Provincial Health Officer, Dr. Ana de Guzman, who is at the front lines during this pandemic. PSU is fortunate to collaborate with these women of substance, leaders in their own right who made notable contributions in their various fields of specialization. The new normal brought about by this COVID-19 highlights the significant roles of women across every sphere, from education, from governance, from health and economy. women rise up to the occasion as they shown heightened fortitude in the battle against the pandemic. Women are a vital part of the healthcare infrastructure, battling the COVID-19 pandemic head-on. A study claims that women comprise almost 7 out of 10 health social care workers, given their predominant roles as caregivers within families and frontline healthcare workers. The Global Preparedness Monitoring Board, or the co-convened by the World Bank Group and the World Health Organization, called for more women leaders as a vital part of preparedness efforts. Yet, when analyzing recent emergencies, is it too clear that little has been done to ensure that women's voices are reflected at the decision-making table? And likely, as a result, gender is often ignored in responses. These are some of the things we will be hearing more about as we go on with today's webinar. To all the participants, we are delighted that you made the choice of joining us today. Together, let us take this journey in the new normal with hope in our hearts and with courage to win the battle. Thank you and good morning to all of you, beautifully empowered women.
Thank you, Dr. Budet, for the warm welcome. Now, please allow me to give the floor to Dr. Gilbert Moralista, the Director for Gender and Development of PSU, to share to us the purpose of this webinar. Dr. Moralista.
For brilliant women leaders who played significant roles in responding to COVID-19, our guest speakers, our University President, Dr. Dexter R. Buted, the 5 Vice Presidents, University officials, campus officials, and participants of this webinar, a pleasant day. The Gender and Development Unit and the local international unit under the Office of the University President purposely conduct this webinar entitled International Webinar on the Role of Women Leaders in the New Normal, to particularly inform and acquaint the Asian countries and the world on the roles of women leaders from education, political, economics, and health sectors during the coronavirus pandemic. It is noted that there has been a lot of media attention given to female leaders at the helm of various organizations and their roles in COVID-19 crisis. This international webinar has the following objectives. First, it recognizes women's active participation and leadership in COVID-19 response. Second, it inspires and encourages good practice in improving opportunities for aspiring women leaders. And third, it takes affirmative actions to move towards equality in politics through women's competence, which will drive a higher presence of women in administrative positions in all sectors as an integral and sustainable part of our society. According to the United Nations Women Report, intentional expansion of fiscal space that recognizes and invests in women's specific priorities must be central to the design of recovery packages, enabling women's potential fully and equally with men promotes sustainable, balanced, inclusive growth, improves the representation of women within institutions, and intergenerational development outcomes. And it's also crisis cushioning. As we adapt to the new normal, it is high time to showcase women role models as we work together to create a gender equal new normal. Again, thank you and have a good day, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Moralista, for the information you shared to us. Now, let's get this webinar going. Please allow me to call on the lively Director for Local and International Linkages, Dr. Sally A. Harin, to introduce our guest speakers. Ma'am.
Thank you, Ma'am Odessa. Good morning, everyone. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. We are fortunate to have with us today a woman of substance. She is presently the director of the Southeast Asian Ministers of Education Organization, or we call it SEMEO. The first female director since SEMEO was organized in 1965. She served as the first female deputy director for Program and Development of SEMEO Secretariat from July 2015 to March 2019 and led the Educational Research and Innovation Office of SEMEO Inotech from 2006 to June 2015. Our guest speaker's expertise is on internationalization of higher education and transnational education, teacher education, alternative learning and secondary education. She has published international and local articles, journals, technical reports, and guidelines for some SEMEO and other international organizations such as UNESCO, UNICEF, CHED, and DepEd. Among her well-noted research work were Philippine Higher Education Guide, or CHED, the K-12 Toolkit, the Quality Assurance, Mutual Recognition in Higher Education, and that is in UNESCO Paris. Toolkit for the Recognition of Higher Education Qualification in UNESCO Bangkok. Toolkit for National Information Centers, that is in UNESCO Bangkok also. And the ESD Toolkit for Secondary Schools. Also, the internationalization of Philippine higher education, or the UNESCO NATCOM, and reform and development in Philippine higher education. The Southeast Asian teaching standards, the multi-grade quality indicators in Southeast Asia, the K-12 regional comparison in Southeast Asia, and published at the International Encyclopedia of Education under Elsevier, London, to name a few. She is a Doctor of Education in Educational Management at De La Salle University, Masters in Science Education at the Philippine Normal University, and Bachelor degree in Secondary Education, major in English and General Science. She is a Career Executive Service Officer, or we call it in the Philippines, the CESO4. And she is a member of various international, professional, and academic organizations, including the Phi Lambda Theta Honor Society of Women Leaders in Education and Phi Delta Kappa. She was awarded as Philippine Normal University's Blue Ribbon Award for Distinguished Alumni in 2013 and a World Bank Fellow in Multilingual Education. Ladies and gentlemen, we are so proud, and let us all welcome Dr. Ethel Agnes Pascua Valenzuela.
Thank you very much. So very generous introduction, and I'm very pleased to join you, Honorable President Dexter Buted, our distinguished speakers from all over our country. And I'm very, very happy that finally PSU is sponsoring this webinar in a timely topic that talks about women leadership, especially during the time of COVID-19 pandemic. Well, as we know, women leadership is really very challenging. For example, in Latin America, only 25% are women leaders. Even in the US and North America, 31%. Or if you look at Eastern Europe, it's 32%. And in Southeast Asia, we're very lucky because we have 46 to 100 terms of women leadership. So we are in a very lucky region where more women leaders are respected. And however, in our region, in ASEAN, only 9% makes to be the CEO or handling the top post. But COVID-19 pandemic has given us very challenging times. And we have to think about newer strategy. We need to be agile. I'll be sharing with you a few cases of women leaders in our region during this time of pandemic. And of course, how we at CIMEO handled such cases. So let me share with you my screen. Can you allow me to share my screen, please? PSU? Can you please allow me to share the screen? I will be presenting the PowerPoint. Thank you, PSU.
Yes, ma'am. You are allowed to share your screen now, ma'am. It's ready, ma'am.
Okay, let me try again. Okay. So can you see the screen now?
It's loading, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We can see your screen now. Thank you.
All right, so I will be very brief in my presentation for today. I'll be talking about what we are and our journey during the COVID-19 pandemic. I'll be sharing with you also our ministers, women leaders in Southeast Asia and how they face the crisis and some key takeaways from the COVID-19 pandemic and some recommendations. So as we all know, I am here in Bangkok and we have about 26 CIMEO centers all over the region. And most of these centers have their own expertise in education, in science, and in culture. So in mid-March, we were informed already that there is this new novel coronavirus. And immediately, as a response, I have to issue work from home for all of our staff and not to stop our support to the region. We decided that we will handle this together, and I formed the Clearinghouse Committee on COVID, which I call the 3C. This is to check facts, regarding this new virus that is going on in many countries of the world. 190 countries face this one. And we want to be part of the solution. So really, we work hard to be part of the global coalition on COVID-19 response formed by UNESCO. And we formed a lot of webinar series, 6 webinar series organized by us. We co-organize also webinar series with our partners. And right now, we are still handling the CIMEO lecture series coming from different members of C Tibet and C Teacher family. In June, we really wanted that ministers will share all their actions taken, their responses on COVID-19 pandemic, and organizing such a huge event with all the ministers attending is really something that we are proud of, that we were able to pull through. And we also organized high-level meeting on what about the disadvantaged and marginalized children in our community. So, so far from our initial, we're the first in the region to do the webinar, and we had a lot of responses since March of webinar development. We learned along the way, and we got already 500,000 views on all of these webinars, and I'm very proud that we were able to contribute to the teachers, to the learners, and of course to the lifelong educators. And calling all the ministers to share the responses is such a big responsibility, and we really have to make sure that each one will share their knowledge, their leadership skills, and the responses made during the COVID-19 pandemic. What we're proud of is that almost all the ministers were really committed, and they attended our special webinar, which we call as SMPEF, Senior Ministerial Policy E-Forum. All of the responses, all of the stories of the ministers were contained in a book which you can download from our website. And furthermore, writing the joint statement from the ministerial forum is also something very special, and all ministers have to agree. Like, number 1 priority is to enhance capacities of teachers and key education enablers. We need to make sure that the priority would be on enhancing the capacity of teachers to be able to move from traditional to remote learning. We also wanted to make sure that learning environment is supported for them to continue education. Our goal is that learning continues, and also sustaining the advancement of developing open educational resources, use of online learning, and developing strategic partnerships with those who are willing to be part of Simeo. Now, let me zero in on the key theme of this particular webinar, which is on leadership lesson. For me personally, it's really hard to be on the top. To get there is also already a big journey. So I have like 30 plus years of work, starting from a secondary education English teacher and biology teacher, and then moved to a college at De La Salle and moved to MA, PhD teaching at UP De La Salle, and being with SHED for 10 years of my life as Director of International Affairs. So it took all of these experiences to be able to push some more for the position that I am in now. But I think fundamentally for the COVID-19, I could say that in leadership, you need to focus on fundamental things that you can do. You should be realistic on what you can do, and know as well the balance between what you can do and what you cannot do. We need to reach out to the policymakers. First and foremost is to reach out to them and offer assistance, capacity building. And also, we need to see the priority is the marginalized, disadvantaged learners, because I'm working in the education perspective. So, well, you know very well the case of our women leader in the Philippines. So my boss in the Philippines is Secretary Leonor Briones. And from the experience of Secretary Leonor Briones, she herself experienced the COVID-19, right? And she was able to recover the soonest and the fastest. So Secretary Briones put her priorities, I said, focus on, moving and congregating learners, teacher education, personnel nationwide, and to focus on bringing along all of these open educational resources, learning resources, so that learners will be able to have, education even during the lockdown. And doing policy, support, programmatic response, that's very good of Secretary Briones. One thing also, she was able to pull as soon as possible when the COVID started, blended distance learning modalities. So there were printed digital modules, online learning resources, and television and radio-based modules. And she was also able, with the help of her team, to stage DepEd's Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan, so BES-LCP. So, and then moving on with all of these very big challenges in our country, and you really having a very good team working with her, that's something that you should be proud of with Secretary Briones. Another women leader, a woman leader in our region is Minister Dulce Suarez. Being in a country which most of the learners really in remote areas, it's really very challenging. But for Minister Suarez, she introduced also learning continuity programs. She made use of TV programs following the basic education curriculum. Preschool education aired on at least 3 TV channels. That is how she was able to decide that we will go by TV. She also launched online digital library learning application and using YouTube channels and free access to other communication. Timor-Leste is very lucky because she was able to generate a lot of support from international and regional organizations to support learning continuity plan of Timor-Leste. She reached the marginalized learner, delivering the textbooks, book distribution for the most remote children, and also creation of learning materials. They also created learning materials during the time of pandemic with the assistance, of course, of UNICEF. The third case is the Minister of Education of Lao PDR. Madame Seng Duan is the Minister of Education. During the time of pandemic, she also rose to the challenge. So like me, the first response is to create a task force, create a working committee so that we can work on what is important. The focus is what is important. So immediately as well, when COVID-19 started, she ordered closure of school. But the closure of school will not stop everybody from doing learning activities, right? So a Minister of Law also used remote learning methods, and one of which is technology-assisted learning, home-based learning activities with parents, with guardians, and use of social network, which were, very popular these days, like Zoom that we are using now, Facebook as a classroom, and other modalities. So even Messenger or Telegraph, they're being used in Southeast Asia to communicate to the learners and to the teachers what to do. So my key takeaways from the COVID personally, I learned a lot from many mentors and from the books I read whenever there is a time for reading. So what I learned, for example, from the leader that I'm sharing with you is to build a unifying vision. So the moment we had the crisis, I want to pull everybody together and let us agree that we need to solve this together. So we need to see the future that we will be providing free online materials and a classroom online, something like that. So we had a vision, and if you see in Timor, in the Philippines, and Lao PDR, these three women leaders also prioritize learning continuity. So like Simeo, we have the same vision together, and that's why we really had good times talking about and sharing all of these experiences. So our immediate response is to provide learning continuity plan and also to help member countries during the COVID-19 pandemic. The second thing that I know and I value a lot is about the essence of strategy. Sometimes as a leader, you want to do everything, but you have one body and you have one organization to help you. So you should also choose not what to do. Well, you have to communicate clearly your goals, keep learning, keep talking, keep adapting, and identifying issues together, and look at the opportunities. But do not give up. There are so many challenges during the pandemic, but don't give up. The next one is assembling your team. So the moment I said, okay, this group will help me during the pandemic, we go to office. The others will just be in the home, work from home. So you need a team with shared vision, share your passion, and also listen to them for feedback. The third one is also, setting high goals. So you just don't do the ordinary and make everyone accountable. So for example, assigning one person or officer on each item and to continue to build on capacity. We learn together, even using Zoom, how to do breakout session, how to use Facebook for classroom. We learn together. We practice here before we do it in webinar. We trial everything before going because we want to evaluate, check results, and also innovate and be open for any recommendations from our team members. So we are learning as one here at Simeo. So you see in Simeo, most of the leaders are male. I'm the first one. And I read some of their decisions since 1965. What were the decisions of the male leaders? Some of them are really very good decisions. I would like to keep them. So, but then I am always up to the challenge. So my first year, we had a hacking in our website. And today, in the second year, almost, we have the COVID-19 pandemic. But we survived. So the biggest thing is be agile, It is to make effective decision at the right moment, at the right time. It cannot be delayed. So always with me is a decision-making function is always my priority. I have to make a decision, whatever, and stand by the decision. And we also be ready to go out of your comfort zone. So if I'm just in comfort zone, I will just be in my home and work from home. But no, we need to do something for Southeast Asia, for ministries of education, higher education, teaching personnel, everyone, that is free, accessible, and usable. But you see, I have ideas. I read books, I listen. But I'm also practicing intellectual humility. I ask the team, I ask people, is this good? Is this correct? Sometimes they say, oh, it's wrong. It's not doable, and I listen. So as a leader, you need to listen, to learn, to listen, and correct yourself. You're not the only one who's contributing to all the plans. So you must not be the only one speaking all the time. You must also listen. And before any webinar or any activity, I always pray and offer it. So the foremost trait is trust in the Lord that everything will go smooth, and this is what He wanted me to do, and I will do it. So prayer is always part of any activity of Simeo. I think these are the things that I can share that I do as a women leader and now occupying the top post at the CMEO headquarters. And this is just a sharing. And I know you have all stories to share. This is just my experience. And I thank you so much. And thank you for giving me time to share this topic on women leadership. Have a good morning, everyone. Sawadee ka from Bangkok, Thailand.
Thank you very much, Dr. Valenzuela, for that very informative talk. We shall now entertain questions for the open forum. But while waiting for the consolidated questions, let me just give you some pointers regarding the talk of Dr. Valenzuela. From my note, participants, may we request that you please kindly mute your microphones in order for us to be clear with our audio. Thank you very much. According to Dr. Ethel in her talk, priority is on enhancing the capacity of the teachers to shift from the traditional to the new digital learning. In leadership, we should focus on the fundamentals and be realistic on what we can do. She also said that the stand of CMEO is that learning continues despite the pandemic. We also need to make use of learning continuity plans. And for the Philippines, it is the blended learning modalities. For Minister of Lao, it is the creation of task force and the use of remote learning modules. And she also said that it is also important to build a unifying vision, communicate strategies and goals, assemble teams, and set high goals. And for you to become an effective leader, we also need to ask, listen, and correct ourselves if it is possible. Okay, so one of the questions that the participants are asking is that, Dr. Valenzuela, what is the most challenging part of being the first female general director of CMEO? What are your future plans to further empower women in the ASEAN region? Ma'am?
That is a very, very good and very challenging question as well. When I started, the first month is really very difficult for me because all ministers are male. Whenever I attend meetings outside of the country, in Korea, in Japan, they are all males. And I have to have that confidence. First is to have confidence on your ability. So I always make the first move by introducing myself, because they don't know me, and it's a different game. But I was able to manage it by being humble, to introduce yourself. I'm from the Philippines. I'm now the director of CMEO Secretariat. I bring with me all the time my country. And this is the first country who got the first woman leader. It's something that I learned, just to start the conversation. Don't be shy, don't be afraid. Just start the conversation and bring your flag all the time. So I think the hardest is the first few weeks, the first few months. And I just make sure that I do the right thing. I am very clear on the goals. Today we'll be having this meeting, ministers, blah, blah, blah. And just present and just be yourself. Just be yourself.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Dr.
For the women leaders, the second question is about women leaders. So we are also planning to develop more leadership programs for women leaders in the region. So we always make sure that there is gender balance in our training programs, and we convey that to all our CMEO centers for gender equality. That sometimes the guys, the boys are the ones deprived of training in terms of education. So the gender balance is something that should be useful term, not just women leadership, but in education, boys are a bit disadvantaged in our country. They easily drop out. In the studies I've conducted, high school level, they drop out to work and they're no longer, by the time they reach college, it's more female than the male. So the gender balance should be addressed as a region as well. So we should have programs on this for boys, for males, and for female. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ma'am Ethel. Next, ma'am, we have another question from Angelica Cortez. She says on her question, what inspired you to join CIMEO?
Oh, that's also a good question. You know, I was already a director of CHED, International Affairs Service and Office of Student Services. It's a very nice position with career service rank. But, you know, since I work in international affairs, I see a lot of regional aspirations that I would like to contribute to. I would like to do something for Southeast Asia, not just my country. So I just tried my luck. You always try your luck. So if I am accepted, it's a blessing. If I'm not accepted, it's okay. That means there is another room or another door opening for me. So it's just trying out, and also it's your interest or your goal to really help the region. That is why I applied in CIMEO.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for that never say die attitude. So that's the one who helped Ma'am Ethel conquer the world of CIMEO. Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. Again, due to time constraints, we regret that we can only accommodate a few questions, 2 questions at this point to be answered by the speaker. The rest of the questions raised will be answered through the comment section. Now, thank you, dear participants, for the questions you have raised. Keep those questions coming in the chat box as we continue with the webinar. Our PSU webinar team is collecting all these feedbacks, and we will do our very best to answer all your queries. At this point, PSU would like to express its gratitude to our honorable speaker by awarding a certificate of recognition. Please allow me to read the text of the certificate. Republic of the Philippines, Pangasinan State University awards the certificate of recognition to Dr. Ethel Agnes P. Valenzuela, Director, Southeast Asian Ministers of Education Organization, Secretariat, Thailand, in sincere recognition and grateful acknowledgement for sharing her valuable knowledge and expertise as guest speaker on women leadership in education, perspectives in the new normal during the first GAD International Webinar on the role of women leaders in the new normal, organized by the Pangasinan State University, held on August 26, 2020. Given this day of 26th day of August 2020 in Pangasinan, Philippines, signed Dr. Dexter R. Buted, President, Pangasinan State University. May I again call on Ali Harin for the introduction of the next guest speaker.
Hi again from the PS Unions. Our next guest of honor and speaker is a woman worth emulating. Dr. Lily Norlaili is a graduate of Bachelor of Education in Civics Law at the Institute Keguran Dan Elmo Pendidikan, Jakarta. She is a recipient of Unilever Scholarship Program. For her Masters of Social Science, she is a recipient of World Bank Scholarship Program at the Curtin University, Australia, during the 1996 and 1997. She took up her doctor in education management at the Universitas Negeri, Jakarta, and a recipient also of the Ministry of Education and Culture Scholarship Program. Dr. Norlai is presently the Education and Culture Attaché of the Embassy of the Republic of Indonesia in Manila. Dr. Lily is an expert curriculum maker and developer and work with the Pusat Curriculum dan Pembukuan, Ministry of Education and Culture. She is a consultant in Buntang for the Saves the Children, Constitution Court, Arif Rahman Associates, Forming of Human Rights Curriculum, Decentralized Basic Education during the year 2006 to 2013. So ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Dr. Lily Norlaili. Ma'am, take it away. Hello.
Okay. Good morning everybody. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Selamat pagi. And participant webinar today. Thank you. I'm Lily Nurlaili. I'm Attaché Education Indonesian Embassy from 2017. This time is the last year my duty. The meaning of my name, Lily Nurlaili, is Candle of the Night. Okay, I want to presentation today about here. The important role of women in both families and universities during the COVID pandemic-19. Several roles of women in the pandemic COVID-19. First is stop hoax news about COVID-19. They can also share official news from the government or official organization. Raise funds to procure face shield, masks, dress for nurse to cover, and donate to health professionals, or distribute masks to shop seller, workers, and others who require them to continue working outside every day. Or what has been done a lot to provide nutritious food, easy to consume for health workers who do not have long enough to rest. Health literacy, namely developing the latest information media in the hope that information related to COVID-19 is easy to understand. Women can also provide a more pleasant atmosphere at home by doing activities together, from reading storybooks, watching TV, cooking together, exercising together, or gardening together. The role of Jermas, healthy living community movement in the family. First, we have a association. We call that is Jermas. First is the first strategy, community empowerment, is carried out in order to create awareness, willingness, and abilities of individuals, families, and community groups. The second strategy, advocacy, is carried out in order to obtain support in the form of policies and resources needed. The third strategy, partnership, is carried out to support community empowerment and advocacy in order to maintain and improve health. The application of Dermas during the COVID-19 pandemic was carried out by a woman who from an early age in a small scope first went to the family as the role of a wife and even a mother. The application applied by Jermas to family is physical activity for 10 minutes every day by exercising, eating fruits and vegetables every day, washing hands with soap or hand sanitizer, in case of emergency, cleaning the surrounding environment, and so on. Mothers as a woman fulfill four needs, namely, first is physical needs, physiological needs, social needs, and spiritual needs. Physical needs, mother fulfill their needs by making the house a comfortable place to live. Even though they stay at home, at home only during the COVID-19 pandemic. The positive side of the COVID-19 incident is the opportunity to gather to spend time together at home, which usually have their respective activities outside. Mothers as women can take advantage of their physical closeness to children through various productive activities. The interaction of mothers to children by discussing the COVID-19 outbreak. In addition, mothers with careers can help their children study at home, even though they are WFH, work from home. Mothers also prepare healthy food and drinks that can maintain stamina to prevent COVID-19 transmission. Exercise together can be done at home with the mother as the instructor. Number two is psychological needs. Women in the family provide education in the form of psychological attitude to face COVID-19. The COVID-19 condition can make us paranoid and affect psychological pressure. Women fulfill their psychological needs by conducting socialization on vigilance against COVID-19 so that the family doesn't worry too much. After providing education that makes the family psychologically calm in the face of this outbreak. Women from home can socialize through social media based on accurate sources. Number three is social needs. Women can provide education to families in the form of social attitude during this pandemic. Mothers can invite their families to make donations, for example, by making their own masks that will be given to the community, especially medical personnel who are more in need. What is more important? The mother provides education, namely not carrying out social isolation as a need that can be applied by the family. Number four, spiritual needs. Women remind family, especially children, to get closer to God Almighty. As the Creator, only Him gave the COVID-19 pandemic and brought it back. This pandemic condition also made women in the family teach them to love each other. So, grit is the time management women have with behavioral changes in family habits. Often at the same time, you must be able to complete work in your home and office affairs. It is necessary to encourage the implementation of BNPB health regulation, number 13 of 2014. Precisely Article 17 in Chapter 5, Part 1, which discusses gender-responsive emergency response. First is gender-responsive emergency response is carried out by actively men and women in response plans. Second, ensure there is equal representation of men and women in the rapid assessment team. Number C, prioritize all vulnerable group to avoid gender-based. Women is the pillar of family, the pillar of the nation, even the pillar of the world. They are multi-talented CEO, but stigmatize the opposite. Ignoring the strengths and potential of women will only bring harm to the nation. Without them, we lose the opportunity to be more advanced and prosperous. 5 tips for shopping during the COVID-19 pandemic for mother. The tips include: first, wear a mask when shopping. As much as possible, the seller also wears a mask. Second, when shopping, prepare the exact money so that you don't receive change because the transmission can be through object, including money. Third, there is no need to touch item that will not be for purchase. Fourth, as much as possible, have access to communication with the seller so that you don't leave the house too often just to shop. Last, fifth, wash your hand after shopping. The World Health Organization reports that although the health system is dominated by women, in the health sector, nurses make up the largest proportion of medical personnel, and 90% of nurses are women. But only a few female nurses have had the same opportunities as men to occupy leadership positions in the health system. This pandemic can be a turning point for realizing a better health system in all fronts, including ensuring gender equality for health workers. The Ministry of Women Empowerment and Child Protection. In Indonesia, we have the Ministry Special for Women. We call that the Ministry of Women's Empowerment and Child Protection from 1978 until now. First, in essence, humans are created to be a woman and men in order to complement each other in order to build synergy and for the sustainability in mankind. However, in its development, there is domination by one party, causing discrimination between women and men. Statistically, women generally get disadvantageous position in various aspects of life. Here is another. The low welfare and protection of children leads to violence. The number of children employed, prostituted, the school participation rate is low. The infant mortality rate is high. Malnutrition, iron deficient child nutrition, and 60% of children have a certificate birth. This situation is the result of the accumulation of the socio-cultural value of a society. Pancasila, Undang-Undang Dasar 45, and GBHN or RPJM as the legal basis, place women and children as good creatures with their dignity and dignity. And as citizens have the same position, right, obligation, responsibilities, role, and opportunities as men to play a role in various fields of life and all development activities. The government program in women's empowerment has been in its 34 year, which has been implemented since 1978. To realize the success of women empowerment, the government has developed policies and strategies through the 5-year development stage, which has been carried out since 1978 until now in called the era of reform. Ministry of Women Empowerment and Child Protection Program of Superior Activities. First, end violence against women and children. Information on women's and children's rights reaches all Indonesian people. The functioning of institutions at the village level to ensure the fulfillment of the right of women and children. The functioning of the task force for the protection of women and children in the regions. Massive support from stakeholders, local government, community institution, public Indonesian women innovators, participation for the welfare of women and children, community-based integrated child protection challenges in preventing violence in society. The third exploration program is a public outreach and public outreach event for the Ministry of Women Empowerment and flagship from the executive. Continue program. Second, end human trafficking. Establishment of an anti-trafficking detection system, women and children, increase public awareness to actively participate in the anti-trafficking detection system, building synergy between stakeholders in handling cases of human trafficking through the task force, car for women and children protection, we call that MOLIN, and motorcycle protection for women and children, we call that TORLIN. Ensure that each prospective takeaway receive educate training. Takeaway is women working on abroad. And the economic gap. Ensure relative ministry agency carry out training program for women entrepreneurs. Ensure that every woman has the right to access the capital through financial institution. Prepare an alternative capital system for women micro entrepreneurs. Developing alternative financial support means for women innovator. The role of the Ministry of Women Empowerment and Child Protection during the COVID pandemic-19. Assistance and care for children during home study also creates a double burden, especially for women as a mothers who also work. The high level of stress due to the difficulties during the COVID-19 pandemic also has the potential to give birth to gender-based violence against women, children, and other vulnerable groups. Since the issue of the BDR activities in many areas, it was reported that from March 14 to April 22, there were 105 cases of violence against women, of which there were 1,106 victims, 16,7 of whom experiences domestic violence. Initiated the joint movement to keep our families, which had 10 action and involved 5 working groups, which intensively coordination with PPA agencies through in Indonesia. Through this movement, we form a volunteer team from existing network partners, such as the Children's Forum, Puspaga, Child-Friendly School Facilitators, PATBM, PUSPA, and others. In addition, providing specific assistance for women, children, and other vulnerable groups such as vitamins, milk, nutritious food, biscuit, sanitary napkin, and pampers, which are sorted according to the ages of children under 5, girl, and young women, and the elderly. The Ministry of PPPA also building cooperation with various women empowerment and child protection institutions to find out and record the condition of women and children at the grassroots, both in the economic, health, and social field. Regarding prevention, the Ministry of PPPA has compiled educational material on the protection of women and children and families, which are then disseminated through social media, as well as protection cars and motorbikes, Molin and Torlin, 2 regions throughout in Indonesia. There are 4 sequences of PATBM management in this guide, namely preparation by planning activities both online and offline, assistance carried out after receiving report and conducting outreach cases, both cases of violence and COVID-19, referral made under special condition that were discussed with the COVID-19 task force team and report collected from daily data. This aggregate children from the smallest element, namely villages or sub-district. One of the contribution of women in the handling of the COVID-19 pandemic is carried out through PKK. PKK is Empowerment of Family Welfare, which is a community organization that brings together women, especially mothers. This PKK has existed since the new order and reached out to villages and wards throughout Indonesia. The study of Sucipto and Adelina noted that the importance of the PKK being revitalized and utilized to encourage post-reform gender-responsive pro-women program. 5 tips for balancing work and any during the coronavirus pandemic for women according to the Indonesian Ministry of Women Empowerment and Child Protection. First, sharing roles between husband and wife can act as worker as well as household assistant. Prioritize compromise as not to cause conflict that can interfere with activities, work and family harmony. Arrange the schedule and the division as tasks in the mature and full of compromise. As quoted from the Straits Times, specifically for childcare. Never force yourself to babysit alone if you have a lot of work, because this will be troublesome and make work not optimal. Number 2, work from home. The Straits Times page proclaimed to stay comfortable during work from home. Create a comfortable workspace. An uncomfortable workspace will decrease productivity. In order for the child to feel cared for, make a workspace close to the child. However, if you are afraid that your child will interfere with your work, try to give the understanding that your parents are working. Number 3, don't ignore the family. Prioritize the interest of children and spouse while working from home. Why is this important? As reported by Rising Children, this is important because it is good for a woman personality, good for child development, and can maintain a relationship with a partner. To develop and learn, children need warm, loving care, and quality time with their parents. Quality time is when parents are physically and emotionally present, him to study or in other cases if he cries, pausing to calm him down, then return to work. Meanwhile, husband and wife should arrange a schedule together. Number 4, managing mental psychology. Prepare extra patient in dealing with the pandemic, especially for family who have toddler and babies. Number 5, work and family balance. Arrange time and activity to balance work and family matters every day. Maraming salamat. Terima kasih. Selamat siang.
Thank you, Dr. Liliner Laili. And thank you also, ma'am, for sharing to us a trivia about your name, that Liliner Laili means candle of the night. Indeed, ma'am, you are the candle of the night of your family and in this webinar. Some of the things that Dr. Nurlaili discussed are the role of Germas, a healthy living community movement, and that mothers as a woman fulfill 4 needs such as physical, psychological, social, and spiritual needs. A woman is also the pillar of the family, the nation, and the world. And without recognizing the potentials of women, we lost the opportunity of being more developed. The pandemic can be a catalyst in realizing a better health system in all fronts. And she also shared to us the 5 steps in balancing work and family. At this point, PSU would like to express its gratitude to our honorable speaker by awarding a certificate of recognition. Please allow me to read the text of the certificate. Republic of the Philippines, Pangasinan State University awards the certificate of recognition to Dr. Lilinor Laili, Education and Culture Attaché, Embassy of the Republic of Indonesia, Manila, Philippines, in sincere recognition and grateful acknowledgement for sharing her knowledge and expertise as guest speaker on gender and leadership, reflection of women's role in higher education during pandemic, during the first GOD International webinar on the role of women leaders in the new normal, organized by the Pangasinan State University, held on August 25, 2020. Given this 26th day of August 2020 in Pangasinan, Philippines, signed by Dr. Dexter R. Buted, President, Pangasinan State University. But before that, let me also go back to the questions at the chat box as gathered by our PSU webinar team. Ma'am, they are asking, how can we include community participation to heighten the society's awareness on various issues confronted by women today?
Thank you for the question. Maybe for this situation is very difficult. It's the same in Indonesia too. If you want to joining with the situation and then to help each other in the community, maybe you must first you are must full take care, or I mean is most responsible from the society. And then the second, you must protect yourself before you are going to include the activities in the social environment right now. I just want to explain like this. From the 1st August in Indonesia, several school is already open for the senior high school and vocational high school. But after 1 week or 2 weeks after the opening, only 8% from all of the Indonesian, we have 54 province and we have 17,000 island. But after 2 weeks, we are open the school, and then we have a lot of the because of the pandemic. For example, last week, 3 of the teacher is already died because of COVID. And the last week is around 13 teacher from the province is already died because of COVID too. And then what I must talking, if you need active in the social environment, you must careful. That is, thank you.
Thank you again. Thank you again, ma'am. We can relate, ma'am, to the one you are talking about regarding the death of some teachers, because also in the Philippines, there are lots of COVID cases that has affected our teachers also. Thank you very much, ma'am. And I'm very sorry. I'm so excited a while back. So I already read the certificate of recognition for Dr. Norlaili. Again, ma'am, thank you very much for supporting us in this webinar. To introduce our third speaker, may I call back Dr. Sally Harin to introduce the third speaker. Thank you.
Hi again. How's everyone? In Indonesian language, apa kabar semua? So I hope you're all doing great.
Yes, apa kabar semua?
Thank you. A young dynamic leader is what best describes our next guest speaker. She was elected as the #1 councilor in Dagupan City on the 3 consecutive terms from 2010 to 2019. At the age of 31, she became the youngest elected national president of the Philippine Councilors League. During her term as a legislator, she was the majority floor leader at the Sangguniang Panglunsod and chairperson of several committees: Committee on Labor and Employment, Rules and Procedures, Social Welfare and Community Development, and Women, Children, and Family Affairs. Among the landmark ordinances she authored includes the Magna Carta for Persons with Disabilities, Local Development Plan for Children for the year 2014 to 2016, Local Investment Plan for Children, Ensuring Public Safety During the Man-Made and Natural Disasters, the establishment of the Dagupan Product Center, and the establishment of the Dagupan City Blood Council, which is being replicated nationwide. She also authored the Dagupan City Street Harassment Prevention Ordinance in 2019 to better protect the dignity of every woman in the city. She champions the cause of women, fights for equality of persons with disabilities, promotes the importance of family, disaster preparedness, and ensures that the Gupan has enough supply of blood to correspond to the pressing need for blood during emergencies. Establish the annual Model Family Award and ensures that persons with disabilities become productive members of the community through the conduct of seminars about the rights and worthwhile activities such as Para-Olympics and talent competition for them. Even before she entered politics, Honorable Maybelline has also been an active volunteer and national youth spokesperson of the Philippine Red Cross for more than 16 years because she believes that leadership is by example. The former councilor Maybelline donates blood on a regular basis and is a certified blood galloner. Personally volunteered in previous search and rescue missions and relief operations such as communities devastated by Typhoon Dayoyong and the Typhoon Yolanda. Ladies and gentlemen, let us again welcome Honorable Maybelline Rose de la Cruz Fernandez. Ma'am? Up.
Good afternoon to our webinar participants from the Philippines and from the other parts of the world. I am Maybelline Rose de la Cruz Fernandez, a former councilor of the Gupan City who have served my beloved city for 9 years. It is such an honor to have been chosen as one of your speakers, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to encourage and inspire my fellow women during this time of crisis. The Philippines is home to close to 110 million Filipinos. It is most likely to be one of the hardest hit countries in Southeast Asia by the pandemic, while several countries in Asia like Hong Kong and Vietnam were able to contain COVID-19. The cases in the Philippines continue to climb despite the lockdowns. Sadly, there are only a few signs that the virus is slowing down, which means that it will take some time for the Filipinos to slowly resume their normal lives. As of yesterday, August 25, 2020, there has been 197,164 confirmed COVID-19 cases in the Philippines, with 3,038 deaths. And even as COVID-19 cases in the country are in a downward trend, it could be reversed. It is important to know that the country has not yet flattened the curve in the metropolis. Until a safe and effective vaccine is available, we Filipinos will continue to be at the risk of coronavirus infection, even as we get back to work, school, or a more normal life. I honestly wish that we're back on the days before the pandemic, which we called normal life. What is normal now is what people called the new normal, the previously unfamiliar situation that has become standard, casual, or expected. Simply put, it's a new way of living and going about our lives, work, and interactions with other people. I'm afraid that we may have to live in the new normal much longer than we would have expected. What is happening now in the country and around the world makes me worry, and it worries me a lot. See, today I wash and sanitize my hands all the time. I try my best to avoid crowded and enclosed places. I try to keep a safe distance from people. I wear face mask and face shield, and sometimes with a pair of glasses for added protection. Instead of dining at restaurants, I cook a lot more at home now. And everywhere I go, they take my temperature before they let me in their establishments. Temperature checks are also being conducted everywhere. I also do my work at the Philippine Red Cross Pangasinan chapter from home and do virtual meetings a lot more than before. More than that, being anxious about contracting COVID-19 and spreading the virus have become a part of my daily life. Indeed, it is very inconvenient. But of course, it's nothing compared to what our healthcare workers have been going through this pandemic. I mean, just wearing the frontline PPE for long hours is an ordeal in itself, especially of frontline healthcare workers. Thus, their role in tackling the COVID-19 crisis is vital. According to statistics, 70% of the world's healthcare staff are made up of women, but only 25% of senior leadership positions are women. That being the case, Philippine lady legislators play a central role in addressing women's issues as their priorities throughout the crisis and after it's over. They can help advance gender equality and increase in policy making that emphasizes quality of life, prioritizing families, women, health, and education. When I speak of gender equality, I don't just mean that men and women become the same, only that access to opportunities and life changes is neither dependent on nor constrained by their sex. Of course, there are differences between the roles of men and women, and these differences require different approaches. But what I mean is that women, like for example, the healthcare workers I'm talking about, they should be promoted to a higher position where proper, which translates to higher income. They should not be bypassed just by reason of their sex. For other women, they are at a disadvantage when it comes to employment. There are limited job opportunities nowadays because of the lower demands for goods and services. Almost all businesses suffered losses in varying degrees, and a number of them even went bankrupt because of the pandemic. To those businesses that survive, business owners would do everything to recoup their losses and earn a profit. And since the demand for their goods and services would be low, coupled with the added cost of cleaning and sanitizing, one would expect that they would give preference to male job applicants in order to save money, because they can do away with paying female employees maternity leave benefits, since all working mothers, including those employed in the informal sector, can take up to 106 days of paid maternity leave for each pregnancy. I would like to stress that this paid maternity leave is available to all working mothers, regardless of their civil status and the legitimacy of their child, meaning even a single parent can avail of this benefit. While it is true that the Philippines is considered one of the most gender-equal countries in the labor market in the world, the salary and wage inequality of similar work is causing the slipping down of its standing in the Global Gender Gap Index of the World Economic Forum. Thus, there is a need to develop initiatives that will counter gender discrimination and promote equality for men and women workers through making of laws and social and economic policies to reverse the unequal labor market outcomes for women. On that note, I move to the effects of unemployment and business closures brought about by the coronavirus pandemic. At the moment, the rate of unemployment in the Philippines is high, and business closures too. 5 months after the first lockdown, many households are now without money because they had already spent their savings, and many are now also living on borrowed funds. And as I speak, 440 private schools, according to our Department of Education, suspend operations for the school year 2020 to 2021 due to lack of enrollments, and would not be surprised if many more would follow suit. This means that many boys and girls would be staying at home for at least another year. During this tough economic times, economic hardships and financial distress can have many devastating effects on many Filipino families. Many lose their jobs and savings. They often struggle just to meet their basic needs. Others sell properties they love just to raise money, while others are in the verge of being evicted from their rented homes. A father, for example, who lost his job feels like a failure, is guilt-stricken and ashamed of losing his identity as the family's provider. Remember, when families are faced with the grief of losing everything and the fear of never being able to recover, things could begin to turn ugly. There would be anxiety, there would be depression, there would be nightmares. Families may be torn apart and marriages may be extremely stressed and fall apart. Parents may interact with their children in tense or punitive ways, with a short temper, and children may respond with negative behaviors and emotions. When then there's domestic violence. It seems that financial stress and social isolation can raise the risk of domestic violence. A new study has found that domestic violence tends to occur more often when a couple is experiencing financial distress. Although what they don't know yet is whether financial stress makes a violent couple more violent, or is financial stress enough of a disruption in a relationship that violence begins? Whatever the reason may be, the fact is domestic violence is 3 times more likely to occur when couples are experiencing high levels of financial strain, according to the study. My term ended in June 2019, even before the pandemic started, and I'm no longer in government service. But with my 9 years of experience as a lady local legislator, I know the plight and concerns of women, and I always strive to protect and help them. From my point of view, lady legislators should see to it that women are protected against abuses and violence because they are mostly the victims, and most of the time they remain quiet and suffer in silence. They should say that laws regarding violence and women and children are enforced by the executive department of the government. According to the World Health Organization, the level of domestic violence increased globally during the pandemic. There should be a local ordinance that further protects women from abusive partners. I also suggest the conduct of stress debriefing and psychosocial support for women who lost their jobs and went back to being traditional housewives, doing all the household chores and taking care of the entire family. This situation and major adjustment can be stressful for them too. Another major issue that legislators have to address is the increase in unplanned pregnancies during quarantine. Because according to our Commission on Population, unplanned pregnancies usually increase during crisis because, well, couples seek for intimacy and get comfort from each other. Let us ensure that women are well educated about unplanned pregnancy and family planning services, and supplies should always be accessible. Another one. Lack of transportation is also a major problem among average working women, since only a limited number of vehicles are given permit to operate in limited capacity. Many women who lost their jobs during this pandemic are now turning into online business to provide for their family. And it's unfortunate that some scammers are even taking advantage of the situation by ordering online that make last-minute cancellation of order. I heard news about an online seller who cried for help after a buyer canceled his order of 2 mountain bikes, amounting to about 12,000 pesos. See, many are fake and bogus buyers, which leave women online sellers unprotected. We don't want women to be victims of fake orders, so I think there should be a local ordinance that will punish these fake and bogus buyers. Women empowerment is a must during this pandemic, with focus on economic empowerment and economic recovery. A woman's ability to make an income is critically important for her family and for the community. There should be a project or program to ensure that businesses run by women will continue to thrive and adapt to the new normal. Women's access to mobile and digital technology will help them protect and secure their source of income in the new normal. For lady legislators, I encourage you to craft an ordinance that will address major issues being faced by women during this pandemic, such as protecting and securing their source of income, promoting self-care and stress management, and immediate response to domestic violence. I have always been an advocate of gender equality and women empowerment. During my stint as a city councilor, Women and children top the list of my priorities because, well, as a woman and a mother myself, I know what it means to be a woman and what it takes to be a woman. For this reason, I want them to become better and to be stronger in facing life's challenges. Even though my term ended before the pandemic started and is no longer in government service, this doesn't stop me from serving our people. You know, being in government service is not the only way to make a difference in other people's lives. After my stint as a counselor, I was elected as a chairperson of the Philippine Red Cross Pangasinan chapter. And you see, Red Cross is a premier humanitarian organization, and I have been an active member for 16 years, long before I became a counselor. Truly, doing public service during this time of pandemic can be very risky, but not only for ourselves, but also for our family, especially that, you know, like I have a young daughter. But since I want to help people, like many others have been doing, I am taking seriously all precautions to ensure that I will not get COVID-19 in the process. I, together with the members of the Board of Directors and officers of the Philippine Red Cross Pangasinan chapter, am leading the chapter by partnering with different local government units in Pangasinan and identifying qualified beneficiaries in the implementation of several projects. We regularly conduct stress debriefing and psychosocial support to our frontliners, especially policemen who are on a 24-hour duty. The demands of their job is very tiring because they have to instill discipline and are always deployed in border checkpoints from morning to night, encountering people from all walks of life, most of them strangers, that their exposure to COVID-19 is far greater than a regular individual. Hence, many of them seldom go home to their families out of fear that they could be carriers of the virus and infect their loved ones. Aside from the regular conduct of bloodletting activities, we also distribute hygiene kits and face masks to selected hospitals and barangays, install hand washing stations to strategic areas, and provide meals for frontliners. For lady legislators and those in the field of governance, I encourage you to always do your best and give your all, because when we all give, we all gain. With your position, you can do a lot of things that average women like me now cannot. Please remember, we, the people, believe in you. Thank you very much. God bless us all.
Thank you very much for that extensively informative and engaging talk, former Councilor Maybelline Fernandez. Ma'am, are you with us right now?
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I had to record it because I didn't think that I'd make it at 12 noon today. But yeah, I'm here. I'm here with all of you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for joining us right now in this live broadcast. Thank you, ma'am.
It's an honor, ma'am.
Okay. Some of the things that Ma'am Maybelline emphasized during her talk are that the importance of a vaccine for us to go back living on our lives again, and that 70% of healthcare system comprised by women, but 20% only are in leadership positions.
Yes, you're right.
Women should also be promoted to higher leadership positions to earn more, because domestic violence rate increased in times of financial crisis. She also shared to us her day-to-day experience coping with the COVID-19 pandemic and the health protocol requirements that comes with living in the new normal. She also said that the World Health Organization says that level of domestic violence and unplanned pregnancy increased significantly during the pandemic. There are also problems such as lack of transportation, scam on online selling being experienced by women. And lastly, women empowerment is a must, with emphasis on economic empowerment. Okay, let us now proceed with the open forum, ma'am. There is a question here from Dr. Celeste Mercado. Dr. Mercado asks, what can we do to help the marginalized women members of the society who are at greater risk of many forms, domestic violence, and abuses? What best practice in your city can you share to address this concern?
Well, for one, thank you for, first of all, thank you for the question. Well, I think right now most governments have actually diverted their funds to the response for COVID-19, which is sad because, you know, based on the Commission on Human Rights, they have noted that there is an under-reporting and monitoring of gender-based violence cases during COVID-19 as women are prevented from, you know, leaving home. So I think what our government should do is to enhance the information, communication, technology access, and literacy because, well, when you talk about marginalized sectors, they don't really know much about the internet. So we have to educate our people. We have to tell them that there are ways to actually ask help. If they cannot go physically to a center, there's an online online site where they can go to, or probably call in cases of emergencies. So, but the thing is, we have to make that known to them. A lot of them are not aware of that. That's probably the reason why there was apparently less recordings of reports these past few months when it comes to domestic violence and harassment of women and children. Also, we have to also ask our leaders to still prioritize women facilities, like women shelters. You know, they should all continue to be considered essential services, and they have to remain accessible to women and children, especially these times, because a lot of governments have actually put a hold on infrastructure of women's shelters these days because they're worried that they won't have enough money or budget to respond to the challenges of COVID-19. But we have to make our leaders understand that these facilities are important for our women and children, because these are essential services that we have to provide for them too. In our city, basically, the barangay health workers are going around. They're trying to monitor as best they can if there are any violent thing going on in the community. So at least they get firsthand information from the neighborhood, and yeah. So I think that is what they've been doing these past few days. So they've been going around, and it's important that we make our our women and children feel the presence of authorities. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Yes,
Okay.
please go ahead.
I thought someone was going to ask something. Okay, so it is important that we make these people feel that there is authority that is present, that they can actually turn to just in case someone violates their rights.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. There is another question here, ma'am, from Dr. Gilbert Moralista.
Yes,
the question goes, as a woman leader, what are your significant contributions and plans for Dagupan City to become a COVID-free city?
First of all, I am not in government anymore. I would just have to put that out there. I am not in the Sangguniang Panglungsod anymore. But what we're trying to do right now as chairperson of the Red Cross, basically we try to engage our communities. We try to go to different barangays, teach them proper hand washing, because we know that in order for us to combat COVID-19, we have to go back to the basics. We have to make ourselves physically clean at all times. So one thing to combat that is to ensure, we sanitize our hands, we do proper hand washing. So that is what we've been doing in the chapter. We've been going around teaching people, even young children, on how to properly wash their hands. We go around communities. We try to reach out to frontliners, give them, psychosocial support. So that is what we've been doing recently. And also we have also partnered with some stakeholders to come up with portable hand washing facilities. So we've already placed some of that in different parts of Pangasinan. Maybe you'd be seeing that in some areas here. We have the logo of the Red Cross there. So that is what we've been doing. We're trying to partner with as many stakeholders as we can, so we can put up more of those in the province.
Thank you very much, ma'am. So hand washing is still the key. It is still our best first line of defense against the COVID-19 virus.
Yes, ma'am. I would like to stress, there are things that I wasn't able to touch on in the video that I made for you. Like, we have to come up with gender just solutions. And when you talk about gender just solutions, it's about creating solutions that will not add burden to a woman. Like, for instance, in our response to COVID-19, for instance, we are starting to open up businesses. We're trying to open up the economy, correct? But in most cases, when workplaces reopen, there's actually a study conducted that it is by the UN that men who return to work don't usually have issues. But it's another story for a woman. Why? Because although the workplaces have started to reopen, classes, daycare centers have not. What does that mean? How would that fact affect women? See, in a family where there's a mother and a father, for some reason, it becomes automatic that it would be the woman who has to stay at home to tend to the needs of the children, because you can't bring them to school, so they will have to stay at home. So what do we do? I think it's kind of unfair to make that automatic for a woman to stay home just because she is the mother in the household. I think we should, we should somehow try to come up with a solution where the woman, should she want to go back to work, that she should be able to return to work without worrying about their children. So what can we do? Maybe first, in other parts of the world, say, although this one's in Europe, like in the Netherlands, what they did was they tried to come up with a stimulus package for these affected families. It's not that the government will have to shoulder the additional house help that the families would be needing, just so there would be someone to look after the children when they're both at work. It's not that, but probably just some sort of an assistance, just to help them be able to hire help to look after the kids. With both of them working, well, there's bigger chances that they'd be able to afford another help just to watch for their kids. Another thing is, see, as women, we have a lot of ideas in our head. There are a lot of things that we want to explore. We're very adaptable. We're very resourceful. We're very resilient. We try to research a lot of things, and so we have all these in our head, but we just don't know how to start them. So I think it is important that our government will have will put, say, a program, or come up with a program for women who would opt to stay at home and start their own business, like home-based business. We have to be able to provide them with technical support. We have to be able to provide them with the tools they need so they can thrive also, even if they're just staying at home. But again, they're staying at home will have to be their choice, not because they feel that, you know, there there's no hope for them anymore, or just they have to stay home just because someone needs to look after the kids. No, it has to be their choice. So there, ma'am. And I think it is important that we put women in the center of the recovery for for this COVID-19 pandemic.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you that you have cited that we need to address gender stereotypes, that it is not automatic for the woman to stay at home and for the man to go out and work and provide for the family. It should be a choice that they got to have, whether to stay just as home, at the home to work, or go in the office and also provide for the family. There is another question, ma'am, coming from Dr. Marie-Claire Briones. Ma'am Maybelline, what is your stand in the flexible learning in our new normal for our students?
My stand on that, I think it is good, but we have to also think about the areas where we don't have internet, where we have a lot of kids who have no access to internet. Also, we also have to take into consideration the problems of, say, people coming from the 5th, 6th class municipalities. We have young people who are in school, who go to school, but their parents do not even know how to write or read. We have kids who are in school but have no one in their houses to teach them, just in case there won't be any face-to-face learnings. So I think that is my only concern. Actually, I've been asking that to some of the directors in the Red Cross who are owners of schools as well, because I'm deeply concerned about how these kids will be able to learn and teach themselves if there won't be any face-to-face learnings. I think what our government is trying to do is to come up with a hybrid system where some kids will go online, and if they will have any problems in any of the modules or learning materials that they have, then they can, you know, get in touch with a teacher online. So I think we really need to we have to, I think, make this information known to the parents, because this concerns everyone, especially me. I have a 3-year-old who actually went to school last year, but I opted not to enroll her this year just because, you know, of the concerns in regarding COVID-19. So yeah, for now, I think it is best that we try to enhance the communications between our teachers, parents, and students. But I honestly don't know how to address the issues on those students that will be affected, who don't have anyone at home to teach them.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. Thank
Hello?
we are very sorry for the technical glitch. That
It's
is,
all good.
Ma'am Maybelline, we are very
Yes.
sorry for the technical glitch that we just experienced. There are some problems technically, but again, ma'am, there is another question that they want to ask. If it's okay,
Yes, ma'am.
from Dr. Gina Selga. Is there
Yes.
any possible solution to help women who choose to suffer in silence after experiencing severe psychological and physical violence at home?
I'm sorry, ma'am. I didn't get that again.
Yes, ma'am. The question goes, is there any possible solution to help women who choose to suffer in silence after experiencing severe psychological and physical violence at home?
Well, for one, we have to be patient with them. It is not easy to come out in the open. That is one thing for sure. But it is important that we inform the person of her rights, because if they know their rights, if they know that no one should violate them, then they will have that courage to, stand up for themselves and speak up. But you need a lot of patience to deal with women who have suffered for a long time, especially when their perpetrator is, say, for instance, their partner or their father, or someone really close to them. So I think that is just it. You just have to make them realize that they are people who have rights, and that the laws are there to protect them and their rights. Other than that, I think it is also important for you to, you have to make them feel your sincerity also, because they won't open up to you if they don't feel you're sincere to them. So you just have to build their confidence, but you have to be very patient in dealing with them. It cannot be done in just one sitting. They've gone through so much. The pain that they've been carrying for the longest time is unimaginable. So it would really be hard to break them. So I guess the only thing we can do is to really just be patient with them, and really inform them of the steps that they can do, so that they can better their lives.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for the answer. There's one last question, ma'am. So here goes, ma'am, the last question. How do you address the issues of frontliners, especially women, who were being discriminated by way of people getting rid of them in the public because people think that they are carrying the virus?
COVID-19, correct. Because 72% of our healthcare workers are women. That's why when we see reports that, healthcare workers are being discriminated and being harassed in public, we know there is a spike in harassment in women, because 72% of our healthcare workers are women. So how do we address it? I think we just have to make the public realize that these people, they are our soldiers right now. We are at war with COVID-19, and these are our soldiers. You don't treat your soldiers and your heroes that way. We just have to make them realize that these people are doing everything they can for us to be able to combat this pandemic. And all we have to do is just be compassionate and empathize with each other. It's sad that our healthcare workers and frontliners are going through this, and I think the only way we can do is to make the public realize that they are doing their best, and we shouldn't discriminate these people, because these people are the ones who are actually helping us go through this pandemic.
Thank you very much,
Also,
ma'am.
I think also it is, ma'am, also I think it is important that our government should provide assistance, specific assistance to women, most especially when it comes to their health, because they're exposed to the virus. So I think it is only important that it is important rather that we provide additional or special assistance to our healthcare workers, most especially once they contract the virus, because we've been getting reports that healthcare workers are getting sick and they're not getting what is due them, even if they have already contracted the disease already. It's always tough. It's tough. It's a tough time for them to get what is due them. So I think we should come up with a mechanism to help them get the aid that they need, for them to get the medical attention that they need, should they be needing it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am. Indeed, we are so grateful to you for lending us some of your precious time and in your generosity in sharing all this information with us. Thank you very much, ma'am. At this
Thank you
juncture,
too. Thank you very much.
yes, ma'am. Now, PSU would like to express its gratefulness to the honorable guest speaker by awarding a certificate of recognition. Please allow me to read the text, which reads, Republic of the Philippines, Pangasinan State University awards this certificate of recognition to Honorable Maybelline de la Cruz Fernandez, former City Councilor, Dagupan City, in sharing recognition and grateful acknowledgement for sharing her valuable knowledge and expertise as guest speaker on Women as Change Makers in Governance during the first GAD International webinar on the role of women leaders in the new normal, organized by the Pangasinan State University in collaboration with the Embassy of Indonesia and the Southeast Asian Ministers of Education Organization, held on August 26, 2020, given this 26th day of August in Pangasinan, Philippines. Signed, Dr. Dexter R. Buted, President, Pangasinan State University. Thank you very much, Ma'am Maybelline.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be addressing all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we are near towards the end of this webinar. This is to gently remind everyone to please fill out the evaluation forms and questionnaire for everyone to get their e-certificates. For those who failed to join us during this live broadcast, you can still watch the recorded video on your YouTube channel, Pangasinan State University. All participants have until 6 p.m. today to submit the accomplished questionnaires so you can have your e-certificates. Thank you very much. We are encouraging everyone to please stay with us as Dr. Sally Harin introduces our final guest speaker.
Finally, our last but not the least guest speaker is a woman of health advocacy. She is the Provincial Health Officer of the Pangasinan Provincial Health Office. She finished her Doctor of Medicine course at the Lyceum Northwestern University and Masters in Public Health at BMUF in Pangasinan, Philippines. Our speaker attended various trainings and seminars. To name a few, she attended the third Learning Interaction on Health Technologies in the ASEAN at the Chulalongkorn University in Bangkok, Thailand, and the World Health Organization Fellowship Study on Tuberculosis in Vietnam. She was awarded as the Flame of Leadership Award by the Department of Health and the President's Award by the Philippine Medical Society. She also assisted and organized various foreign medical missions, such as the German Interplast Surgical Mission and the Helping Children Smile Surgical Mission on cleft lip and palate on the Operation Balikngiti, or Smile. She was instrumental in health campaign strategies, such as buntis or the pregnant Congress women, pregnant women Congress. We have also the mobile blood donation and I Love Pangasinan Kalusugan Caravan. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome Dr. Ana Maria Teresa S. de Guzman. Ma'am?
Thank you very much, Dr. Sally Jardine, the
Welcome, ma'am.
Director of the Local International Linkages, for a kind introduction. Hello po.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. It's your time. Go on.
Yeah, thank you again. My sincerest gratitude, Dr. Sally Jardine, for that generous introduction and for the invitation. We'd like to greet first a pleasant afternoon to everyone, especially to the University Master Butid, Director for Gender and Development, Dr. Gilbert Moralista. It's an honor and humbled to be chosen to be one of your resource speaker today and to contribute to this webinar on your international webinar on the roles of women leaders in the new normal. Leave our team from the Provincial Health Office of the Province of Pangasinan have prepared a comprehensive lecture on the assigned topic, which is women at the front line of the COVID-19 pandemic. But I know it's already almost 12 noon. I hope that you bear with us. Thank you. And we'd like to proceed, please. So the outline of my presentation is that I'll be talking for a few minutes on the gender and health, then gender and roles and health, and the Pangasinan COVID-19 initiatives. To proceed, gender is a major element of health. Examining the relationship between gender and health allows for ethical consideration of the ways in which social and cultural factors contribute to health inequities between the sexes. So if you, let me mention for sample some social factors to be that are influential to our gender and health, such as like education, employment or income, lifestyle, smoking. Smoking are like alcohol, unhealthy lifestyle, and we also in the social factors like pregnancy, housing, and access to healthcare. And for the cultural factors, we have to consider as like ethnicity, language, religion, spiritual beliefs, social orientation, ages, and geographic origin. So in order to understand the gender issues in terms of health, I believe we need to define sex, which refers to a set of biological attributes in humans and animals, such as chromosomes, genital organs, hormones, and reproductive functions. So in sex, if you talk about chromosomes, we have the XY for male and the YY for female. So while for genital organs, we have the penis for the male and vagina for the female. And for the hormones, when you talk about hormones in male, you talk about testosterone and you talk about progesterone and estrogen for females. And for reproductive functions, male is contributes an sperm, while female is an ova, and the female has the uterus. And for the gender, it corresponds to the non-biological differences which distinguish individuals from each other, such as the socially constructed roles, behaviors, and expressions. Gender has an implication for health across the course of a person's life in terms of norm, roles, and relations. It influences a person's risky thinking, taking, and health-seeking behavior exposure to health risks and vulnerable to disease. So sometimes we can see that only men is more courageous to seek consultation to our different health facilities. So for gender roles in health, the distinct roles and activities of men and women in a given society dictated by that society's gender norms and relation give rise to gender differences. In many cases, these differences take the shape of gender inequalities, which systematically determines health risks, needs, access to healthcare, and health outcome. Women face higher rates of diseases in some such as breast cancer, osteoporosis, and autoimmune diseases. Other diseases affects men and women differently, including diabetes, depression, and cardiovascular diseases. It's probably the culture and the social factors are contributing in this stage. Women do not present the same for condition and respond differently to treatment than men. Hence, gender equality and women's empowerment can improve health and services. There is a saying that we make our own history and destiny. I see the role of women in society as multifunctional. We are also leaders, innovators, sociologists, and nationalists. With that in mind, I therefore encourage you all to stand tall and let's unite for one vision and vision to achieve excellent health and also to provide an environment free of epidemic and disease for the next generation. However, during this pandemic, as the virus continues to spread and deepens economic and social stress, coupled with restricted movement and social isolation measures, the province of Pangasinan commits to ensure that women in leadership is not the exception, but the norm, protecting them from risk. To date, women's involvement in all COVID-19 response, planning and decision-making mark a significant opportunities. With the COVID-19, women have played a central role to this new normal. They perform universally well in essential jobs, especially this pandemic. And it is hard to ignore the fact that many female leaders have indeed been rising to the incident in many ways. Now, women comprise the bulk of the world's frontline health workers, shouldering the burden of strenuous work. They have driven innovation despite all odds, and they persisted in the face of challenges and insisted on building a better future. Especially now, more than ever, the world needs women whose contributions are vital in life-saving. Pangasinan is a province situated in the west section of Luzon, municipality of Pangasinan as its capital. In 1993, the Philippines local health system was devolved to the local government unit through the provincial health office under the local government code, an enactment which is basically health in the hands of the people, thus providing all local levels the efficiency in effectiveness and health services under the local health office. With this mandate, the Provincial Health Office plays a vital role in Pangasinan health system. The Provincial Health Office both manages public health services for preventive and promotive aspects and hospital services for the curative and rehabilitative aspect of the health delivery system. The Provincial Health Office of Pangasinan has endured a strong, sustainable commitment with its 44 municipal health offices and 3 city health offices, with the trust of making Pangasinan as the home of the healthiest Filipinos. Basically, women comprises the majority of our frontline health workers in Pangasinan, meaning that the female representation is vital in tackling the infectious diseases and other programs under public health. So as you can see in our slide, 14,577 are the women, or 99%, and 167 are the male, or 1%. And for the hospital services, we have 1,142 male, or comprising like 43%, and 1,534 are female. Within the workforce, women tend to be concentrated and professional with lower perceived occupational prestige and skills such as nursing, constitute a smaller portion of physician than men. For the COVID-19 crisis Pangasinan initiatives, for recall, COVID-19 response strategies for recall, we have coined an acronym of FIT3. FIT3 stands for find, isolate, test, trace, and treat. So let me first discuss the first strategy, which is find. So under strategy 1, find, we continuously conduct a perpetual consultation and health centers, barangay health station, and hospitals outpatient department. We stage triage areas for clients with respiratory inspections. So our triage areas serves as a screening area. So we separate the clients presenting a respiratory tract infection from the other clients who seek services to our health centers, barangay health station, and hospital outpatient department. So we provide personal protective equipment for our health workers as we issued rational use of PPEs in key areas. We likewise have a strict border operations, and in our borders we have more or less like 6 to 8 border operation in the province of Pangasinan. But the most area that we are usually monitoring is the Rosales border. So in our borders, however, our kababayan, the residents of Pangasinan have to present a medical certificate with a 3 to 5 days validity and a travel authority from the PNP before you will be allowed to enter the province of Pangasinan. Returning residents without the required documents are refused entry, and they have to stay in the border or go back to the LGU of origin. And those who will be staying in our borders opted to stay in the borders have to wait for the next schedule of our specimen collection from the provincial health office. Right now, we have already created 4 teams to have a regular monitoring or collection of specimen in all the 6 to 9 borders that are open in the entire province. So also in the strategy 1 find, we also have conducted active case finding. Here we conducted expanded targeted testing using our real-time polymerase chain reaction procedure. So this test actually is the gold standard of the Department of Health, and this is a standalone test. So next. So our target for the active case finding or the massive last May 5 and ended June 11, the targets were the persons under monitoring and the mild PUIs that are being managed by our local health offices. So these ones are not in our hospitals, but they are in the LGU. And for the second round, we started the second round June 15, and still ongoing, and the target are the frontline workers. The objective is to make sure that the frontline workers providing services are safe and healthy. And for the next strategy, which is isolate, what we are doing is we issued an advisory o paunawa for returning resident as early as March 14, 2020. In the paunawa, we mentioned that all our returning residents must report to their barangay captains for registration so that they will be registered and they will be assessed by our BERT or the Barangay Health Emergency Response Team, and they have to undergo a 14-day quarantine. Likewise, we conducted an inventory of isolation and quarantine facilities in different LGUs and hospitals. And likewise, we have an extended facility in the province of Pangasinan. We call it a halfway house located in Santa Barbara, and another isolation facility in Burgos. So this is we're just showing you that we have mapped up and identified the different isolation and quarantine facilities in the province of Pangasinan. As of August 3, we're following in compliance with the DOH requirements for an isolation facility. We have 10 municipalities who were able to comply on the said requirements of DOH. And like we have other isolation facilities, 43 of which are functional but was not able to comply with the DOH requirement. And we also have a total of 47 functional quarantine facilities, or 97.91 in entire province. There are some LGUs that do not have isolation facilities, like the municipalities of Bani, Lingayen, Bugalyon, San Carlos City, and Mapandan. LGU without quarantine facilities, however, are Ordaneta City. So we are also showing you the available isolation COVID facility or rooms in our different 14 hospitals. So for our community hospital, we have 7. So the green ones, these are the identified isolation rooms in our community hospitals. They are strategically located. And for the big hospital, we have the provincial hospital. We have a 54 available beds there. We have an 8 confined patient right now. And we have Western at 16, isolation rooms, Bayambang 15, Ordaneta City District Hospital is 13, and 21 for the Eastern Pangasinan District Hospital, 8 for the Lingayen and Mga Taram. As you can see po, there's no confined COVID cases right now in those hospitals. We're just showing you, this is the halfway house located in Santa Barbara. Next. And this one is the Burgos Isolation Facility po. The other activities that we're doing under Isolate Strategy 2, we conduct a stakeholders meeting, consultative meeting. Last July 22, wherein our participants were the presidents of legal barangay and associations of municipal and city health officers in the province of Pangasinan. The objective of said meeting is to reiterate the paunawa requesting all LSI o FWs Balikbayan, all returning residents in the province, even the students, have to register in the different LGU or barangay, so that we'll be able to monitor symptom check or the progress of their health condition, if they are infected or not. We also defined in that meeting the isolation and quarantine facility, and we have an agreement with the different presidents of the legal barangay and the AMCHOP members. Our agreement were, if you talk about isolation, this has to be located in the poblacion, and it has to be manned by the RHU personnel, the doctors, our public health nurses, and our midwife. And the classification of our clients there are symptomatic or the probable and asymptomatic COVID-19 cases. For the quarantine, we requested the president of Liga Barangays that it has to be located in the barangay. It has to be localized, and it will be managed by the barangay health emergency response team. The BERT is composed of the barangay chairman, the barangay, head chairman on health. Likewise, we have the midwife there and barangay health workers. And our nutrition scholars are also there. And for the clients who will be accommodated in this quarantine facility are the asymptomatic. So the type of patients are like the LSI or the locally stranded individuals, the person under monitoring, particularly those who are the general contacts of confirmed cases and our OFWs. So the next strategy is the test. So what do we do under test? We conduct training on specimen collection for medical technologies last April 16 to 18, 2020. So the participants, our Provincial Health Office medical technologists, we have invited 47 medical technologists from different LGUs and our hospital meddecs coming from the 14 hospitals. The province of Pangasinan also procured viral transport medium. This medium is very important in our procedure for the RT-PCR. So at present, the provincial government has already procured 12,347 pieces of the viral transport medium. This is also used for the expanded targeted mass testing for COVID-19 and for contact tracing. Likewise, under test strategy, we embarked on the partnership with Baguio General Hospital Medical Center in Baguio City. Since the molecular laboratory of the province of Pangasinan is not yet available to date, so we have made a partnership with BGH through a memorandum of agreement. So this will be valid until a year po. So as I've said, for a long-term plan, the province of Pangasinan is embarking on establishment of a molecular laboratory. We have ongoing construction right now. We're just awaiting for the completion of the building at the Pangasinan Provincial Hospital. Hopefully po, it will be completed by September 1 or the first week of September. Laboratory equipments are already procured and available. Manpower and human resource are now available. They are undergoing trainings, and we have the capability buildings for the other resource persons, health human resource that would man our molecular laboratory. Likewise, we have already available and procured logistics like BTMs or viral transport mediums and our PPEs. So this is the a photo of our molecular laboratory ongoing rehabilitation. And for the fourth strategy, we have the trace. What do we do here? We organize contact tracing team in the entire province. The provincial health office right now is we have 4 teams, and the LGU during the stakeholders meeting, part of that is we asked them, or we wrote, followed by a letter asking them to make, to organize a minimum of 3 teams of contact tracers per LGU with at least 3 to 4 members. Composition is an interviewer, analyst, and an encoder. Likewise, as agreed during the July 22 stakeholders meeting, we developed a COVID-19 close contact assessment tool. This assessment tool will help us. The objective for this is to assist the contact tracers classify the general contacts to high, medium, and low risk contacts. So how do you do that? They have to answer the assessment tool, and the disposition is that if you have answered or assessed them as high risk and medium risk, the position is they have to undergo the RT-PCR test and then a 14-day quarantine. Likewise, for the low risk classification, they will undergo 14-day quarantine and monitoring for any development of signs and symptoms. Doing this, we will be able to maximize the available resources used during this COVID crisis. So this is an example of a closed contact assessment tool. So this was developed and pre-tested by our team from the Provincial Health Office. And this was already disseminated to the different LGU in the province of Pangasinan. We initially provided one ring each RHU or LGU to use effective September 1. We will not be accommodating requests for contact for specimen collection if you do not present a contact tracing assessment tool. If your request is not supported, I should say, with a close contact assessment tool. So likewise, we also developed, next slide. To determine if the contacts, likewise, the tool will also provide information if the contact is asymptomatic or asymptomatic. So if the direct contact is symptomatic, that contact will be isolated in a hospital if it's severe. No. However, if it's mild, that contact po will be isolated in the LGU in the poblacion area, which we manned by our municipal and city health officers and the public health nurses. If the contact is asymptomatic, that person will be isolated po or be brought to the barangay quarantine facility or be allowed to have to be isolated in the home quarantine, provided that the room in their home has a separate comfort room. Sorry. Likewise, under the strategy for trace, we conducted po, after developing the tool, we conducted po an orientation on the contact tracing team, roles and function as virtual, explaining to them the purpose of the assessment tool, and we also address the other issues and concerns of the different LGUs. So for the last strategy, which is treat, what we did is that we created, our hospital infection control team, we intensify our hospital infection control team that leads the COVID management, particularly in the Pangasinan Provincial Hospital, because it's now identified as our treatment facility for COVID-19. We also procured equipment and our PPEs for our hospital service providers. And we also provided or procured essential drugs, vitamins to mild and asymptomatic patients that are in our hospitals. We also provided quarantine facilities for our hospital frontline workers. And as you can see, after treatment, the Pangasinan recovery rate with the Dagupan City, among the 344 cases right now, we have 281 recovered, or about 81.7%. And we have, for mortality, 14 cases with a case fatality of 4%. The impact of all these initiatives Today, under monitoring report of our COVID-19, we have a confirmed cases of 344, 305 of which are from the province and 39 from the Dagupan City. And an active case of 49, 47 of which are from the province and 3 from the Dagupan City. And as I've said, we have 381 recovered, 246 from the province and 35 from the Dagupan City. And we have mortality of 13 from the province and 1 from the Dagupan City po. So we provide reports at 9 o'clock in the morning daily and 6 p.m. in the evening. So from the 344 for our case distribution by sex, as you can see, male are more affected, 63%, and female 37%. Likewise, by age, we have 32 to 39 years old, mostly affected, 25%. And for our cases, 344, we like to show you this because this is very important. OFWs, Balikbayan, LSIs shares 44% of our 344 cases, or 152. Likewise, it's followed by our close contacts, which is 101 with a 29.4%. And our frontline workers infected, we have 90, majority of which are the PNP and our Bureau of Fires. So 26.2% po. Resident, as you can see, is we have only one case. So that's 0.3%. So this is one, probably you've seen me in some interviews. We are looking into the resident cases because resident would inform us that we have a local transmission. Right now, majority of our cases in the province of Pangasinan are imported cases or brought about by our locally stranded individuals or returning residents coming from a high-risk area, which is NCR, Laguna, and Calabar zone. So we'll just like to show you po the result of our mass testing for the first round. Targets are our mild PUIs or person under investigation. They are isolated in the health centers or in the LGU, and our persons under monitoring who are high risk. So as you can see po, we have a total of 2,403, and we covered 2,403, and 2,338 of which are negative, or 97.3% are negative. So we have like 14 cases of positive, the ones in red, that's comprised about 0.58%, and 51, we have an invalid result because we have an incompatible viral transport medium comprising about 2.12%. For the second round, it's still ongoing. So we have already collected a PCR specimen of 5,979, 5,794 of which are negative, or 96.9%, and we have 67 positive, or 1.1%, and we have a pending case of 118, or 2%. The second round, expanded targeted testing, is actually focused on the frontline workers. However, we also accommodate the returning residents of the province of Pangasinan. So, we still have a lot of challenges with these initiatives. So one of which So still on prevention, we like to emphasize that we really advocate that we have a strict implementation of hand washing due to lack of available vaccines right now, or there's no vaccine. No, we like to focus on the prevention, wherein we encourage everyone to really conduct proper hand washing, wearing of facial masks and face shield, particularly if you are outside of your residences. But still, we like to emphasize that you also need to wear face masks inside your homes. No, cough etiquette, social distancing, and of course our advocacy on stay at home and only essentials po ang ating pong when we go out outside our residences. And we said nga, an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. And again, for this initiative, still, since we still have COVID crisis in the entire country and even entire world, we have still challenges in the province of Pangasinan. One, on sustainability of resources, manpower and human resource exhaustion, infections in the hospital, rural health centers, because we have perpetual and consultation, our barangay health emergency response team doing monitoring. So we really are looking into that. Provisions of logistics, the procurement of viral transport medium. We have requested already LGUs, local government units, to assist us and procure their own VTMs, because the target for mass testing is 2%, maximum of 2% of our entire population in the province of Pangasinan. And we have like 3 million. And the PPEs, continuous availability of our personal protective equipment, and medicine, availability of medicines. We also providing shuttle buses for our health workers now, and we hope that we can continue to provide shuttle buses for our frontline workers, particularly those in the hospital. So also part of our challenges is really requiring medical certificate with a 3 to 5 days validity for our authorized persons outside residences. As you can see in your screen, this is the list of our APOR. No, they come and go in the province. Ito po yung mga fish dealers. No, we have experiences and observations in the municipality of Sual that some of their positive cases are really upward. These are fish dealers. It's not isolated in Sual. We have also other municipalities. They have this kind of businesses na they import the infection in our province. So we like really to request IATF to consider that we can request upward to present medical certificate with 3 to 4 days validity. Next. Strict implementation of a minimum health standards. This is the new normal now. As I've said, a part of our prevention, the wearing of face masks, not only outside of your residences, but also inside the houses. No, social distancing, wearing of face shields is very important, and our personal hygiene, hand washing, and cough etiquette. Disciplina po. We request for discipline for our constituency. And fourth is that the establishment of additional isolation and quarantine facilities for both the city and municipal LGUs, catering to our locally stranded individuals, OFWs coming in. So we recommended evacuation centers to be converted to an isolation facility or quarantine facility po. We are requesting also assistance of DepEd that some school rooms, since they are doing blended po, they also lend it to the local barangay, local government units po. Functionality of the barangay health emergency response team remains a challenge po, because exhaustion, as I said, will sit in. Next slide. Health outcomes such as malnutrition, we are thinking it might be high next year. Tuberculosis access rate, low because of the access to the services. No, when we had quarantine and lockdowns on different barangays, no, or sitios, the access to the services po, tutok gamutan is very difficult. Scarcity of blood supply, no, is also we've seen it. We are observing it right now because there's a difficulty recruiting donors, and likewise that's a mass gathering also. Though we are not being prohibited by the DOH, but there still remains a challenge on transportation. Rabies is high, as we can see now, because of the access of those who have dog bites from the barangays. No available vaccine remains a challenge. And of course, we are also providing, for your information, visas for the person deprived of liberty. So these ones are the individuals who are in our jails. No, so we also cater for them. So I believe that's our last slide. So as we've said, crisis in the COVID crisis in the province of Pangasinan is not finished yet. Let's beat COVID-19 and we heal as one. Thank you very much and pleasant afternoon.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anna, for that extensive discussion on the province COVID-19 response initiatives. And some of the information shared to us by Dr. Anna are women's involvement in COVID-19 response have driven innovation. Women in society plays the role such as a leader, an innovator, and a sociologist. She also shared with us and discussed extensively the FIT 3 COVID-19 response strategy of the province of Pangasinan. And the FIT 3 stands for Find, Isolate, Test, Trace, and Treat. And some of the things they have done with this strategy includes strict border operations, active case finding, provision of quarantine facilities,
Sila. Hindi tayo yan. Kasi gumagalaw ako.
Sila ba? Gumagalaw din.
May tao pa naman, di ba?
we are sorry again for that technical difficulty that we had just experienced. And right now, let's just go to the open forum. Let's proceed with the open forum. Okay, Dr. Anna, there is a question for you. As a doctor of medicine, what is your opinion on the adoption of the Sputnik 5 vaccine made by Russia, as participants of its world clinical trial phase are coming from the Philippines?
Doon na lang kayo kumuha sa mga nasa labas ng box.
Okay, everybody's... Yes. Thank you, Ma'am Odessa Pakaul, for your question. Of course, everyone is very much excited on the availability of vaccine. But right now, the Sputnik 5 is undergoing clinical testing for qualification from the different, no. We are hoping that they could release not only the Sputnik vaccine, because we still have the Canada, no, very soon, maybe by next year. However, since we do not have vaccines right now, we have to really intensify our preventive measures. as we mentioned earlier, di ba po, an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. So though vaccine is a part of our prevention, right now it's not available. The conventional preventive measures po natin.
Thank you very much, ma'am. There is another question, ma'am. As a provincial health officer of the province, what other programs and projects being implemented and to be implemented to fight COVID-19 pandemic? Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So our long-term plan for the province of Pangasinan and this COVID crisis is that to put up a molecular laboratory in the provincial hospital so that our residents or our constituency here can really address the accessibility for that test, the PCR test. Not only that, but our provincial government, through the leadership of Governor Amado I. Pogi Espino III, is really embarking on construction of additional isolation facilities in the provincial hospital. He was even working to acquire some facility to be converted as an isolation facility pa. But we are always, moving towards collaborative actions with the LGUs, responding to the request of having to identify more isolation facilities for them and quarantine facilities, considering that some of the LGUs really have a huge population, to complement any initiatives of the provincial government.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And for the last question, ma'am, can our provincial government provide COVID-19 testing to the different frontliners working in schools in the preparation for the reopening of the classes? My worry is that our frontliners are not tested and they don't have any idea if they have contracted the virus or not. Hope that our provincial government can provide testing for them.
We will bring your request to the attention of the provincial governor, Amado Espino III. So, but rest assured that the provincial government and through the provincial health office will always support the need of our higher education. But however, I believe that right now you are on a blended. Is that correct? Are
Yes,
you
ma'am.
blended right now? Okay, pa. So
yes,
maybe, yes. We will just be requesting, not only on with the PSU, a letter of request to address to the governor, and we will discuss it with the governor. But I cannot give you an exact answer right now, but rest assured that we will support you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And we would like to thank all of the participants for the comments and questions you have contributed. We are happy that you have participated actively in our webinar. Again, gently reminding all of you to please do not forget to fill out the evaluation form and the questionnaire to be able to get your e-certificates. Now, let me read the text of the Certificate of Recognition awarded to our guest speaker as a token of our appreciation. Republic of the Philippines, Pangasinan State University awards this certificate of recognition to Dr. Ana Maria Teresa S. de Guzman, Provincial Health Officer to Province of Pangasinan, in sincere recognition and grateful acknowledgement for sharing her valuable knowledge and expertise as guest speaker on women at the front lines of the COVID-19 pandemic during the first GOD International webinar on the role of women leaders in the new normal, organized by the Pangasinan State University in collaboration with the Embassy of Indonesia and the Southeast Asian Ministers of Education Organization, held on August 26, 2020. Given this 26th day of August 2020 in Pangasinan, Philippines. Signed, Dr. Dexter R. Buted, President, Pangasinan State University. Again, thank you very much, Dr. Ana.
Much, PSU, truly grateful po for the invitation.
Okay. In closing, on behalf of the entire PSU family, we would like to thank all our supportive guest speakers, Dr. Ethel Agnes P. Valenzuela, Dr. Lily Nerlaili, Honorable Maybelline de la Cruz Fernandez, and Dr. Ana Maria Teresa de Guzman for supporting us in this webinar. This is Maria Odessa M. Pacaol saying thank you to everyone who joined this international webinar on the role of women leaders in the new normal. A video on gender empowerment will be shown shortly for your viewing pleasure. Together, let us pursue the journey towards gender equality and women empowerment in the new normal. Mabuhay at maraming salamat po.
Bye everyone.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi po, Dr. Ana from BNF. Participants. 230.
Kay Ma'am Odessa. Kay Sir Gilbert, bye-bye. Ma'am Tali, bye-bye.
Congrats, Ma'am Sally, Sir Gilbert, and Ate Odessa.
Congratulations po, Sir Gilbert and Ma'am Sally. Congratulations and thank you very much to our supportive President, Dr. Dexter Butel. Thank you, Ma'am at Odessa.
Maraming salamat po for accommodating us. Yes, you. Thank you po.
Sir Jomari. Hi. Write your name now, Jomar. Thank you. Sa mga PS unions na naka-online pa, maraming salamat po. Thank you all. To our participants, Ma'am Claire. Thank you so much, Dr. Claire Briones. There she is. Our Vice Presidents, Dr. Manuel, Dr. Ruberosa Cruz, naka-online po sila kanina. Dr. Senas, Dr. Cora Puson, and Sir
Mar Gutierrez.
Mar Gutierrez.